Newly graduated Takuma is mentored by his coworker Shiori, even though Shiori is almost half his height. To celebrate the new year, they decide to go to the New Year's festival together, and they are joined by Takuma's childhood friend and coworker Chinatsu, their manager Chihiro, and Takuma's sister Yudaka. An excited Shiori wants to check out the different festival stalls, but she becomes embarrassed when she takes Takuma's in excitement. The two of them encounter a crying kid who Shiori comforts and promises to take care of while they search for the girl's parents. Meanwhile, Yudaka and Chihiro watch the proceedings, which looks like a cute new family to them. Eventually, they all return to work and Shiori is happy that they are all in the office again. Takuma expresses his disappointment that the holidays pass so quickly, but Shiori becomes distracted when she notices that Takuma might have grown taller over the holidays. After measuring her height against his, she confirms that he has definitely grown. Takuma tries to compliment Shiori on her smell, asking if she bought new shampoo, but the embarrassed Shiori isn't receptive to the compliment. She tries to tell him she bought new perfume recently, and she has also gotten a bit larger, but this leads into a misunderstanding when Takuma thinks that other parts of Shiori have gotten larger. Eventually, they confirm that Shiori's new boots are actually making her look taller. Later, their coworker Ishimaya from public relations tries to extract a favor out of Takuma by using a cute face, but he gets scolded by Shiori, who overhears the exchange. Shiori is in charge of assigning Takuma work, so she doesn't appreciate him taking her subordinate. Ishimaya still doesn't give up, however, and he sends secret emails to Takuma. Meanwhile, Chinatsu is working late and becomes shocked when Chihiro appears out of nowhere in front of her. Her manager wonders why she is staying so late, and Chinatsu reveals she is working on a favor for Ishimaya, who begged her with a cute face to finish his work at the end of the day. Chihiro jokes that Ishimaya is taking advantage of her and that he will have a word with their coworker to make sure it doesn't happen again. Chinatsu thanks him, and she tears up a little since he is looking out for her. Chihiro gets her some tea and promises to keep her company until she finishes the work, and afterwards he takes her to a fancy restaurant as a reward for working late. After they enjoy a meal together, Chinatsu asks about his romantic history, but the manager reveals that although he has a lot of ideals about romance, and he loves the topic of romance, he himself has never had a romantic partner, and is more or less interested in other people's romance. Suddenly, Yudaka appears from the neighboring table. She reveals that she had run away from her coworkers to go eat alone, but feels a little bad eating by herself. She invites herself over to get pictures of Shiori from Chihiro, but Chinatsu finds herself feeling a little envious of Yudaka. Yudaka misunderstands the situation and moves to sit close to Chinatsu, and the misunderstandings get worse when Chihiro and Yudaka each try to pair each other up with Chinatsu. The next morning, Takuma is awakened by Yudaka on top of him. She demands he get pictures of Shiori for her because she could be a future sister-in-law and has very fluffy hair. She also reveals that she is now friends with his boss and will blackmail him if he doesn't give in to her demands. Though when Takuma tries to send pictures to Yudaka, his sister takes his phone and instead sends a questionable text asking Shiori for cute pictures. Shiori is terribly embarrassed by the request, but Takuma is able to get his phone back to let her know about the misunderstanding. Instead, Shiori decides to send a cute picture anyway, even though she feels like they should be dating if they want to exchange pictures. Later, Yudaka starts to feel bad about things, so she decides to send pictures of Takuma to Shiori, including his baby photos. The next morning, Takuma is heading to work and is a little anxious about meeting Shiori due to the previous night's shenanigans. But Takuma ends up overthinking things because Shiori is more entertained and less embarrassed by the events. They end up getting ambushed by their manager hiding in the bushes, and he helps take a picture of them together. After the picture, Shiori admits that she was a little nervous to take the picture, but her extroverted personality ends up grabbing other people in the office for a group picture together. Yudaka gets the picture at her workplace, and she complains about being left out. Later, Chinatsu is complaining about being overworked and looking up different vacations online. Takuma brings up that they just came back from New Year's vacation, but both she and Shiori start to imagine different holiday vacations they could be having instead of working. They come up with an idea to go on vacation together, but Takuma is uncertain about joining them. However, Chihiro persuades them to all go on vacation since they're in a slow period of work. Since Takuma doesn't want to be the only guy on the trip, he asks the manager to join as well. Chihiro becomes more excited about the idea when he thinks about all the spying he can do on his coworkers. A few days later, they all get ready to go on the trip together. When they arrive on vacation, Takuma becomes worried when he hears Shiori scream, but he finds out his short mentor was just crying in happiness from all the cats she sees. Unfortunately, the cats all seem scared of her and she isn't able to successfully pet them. Meanwhile, Chinatsu is covered in cats. The group later goes swimming together, but Takuma becomes internally anxious when he sees Shiori in a swimsuit, and she ends up self-conscious. Chinatsu asks them all to join her in the river, but Shiori keeps gently telling them all to go on ahead without her. and Takuma figures out that Shiori actually has no idea how to swim. She reveals that she suffered an accident in her childhood that made her scared to swim. Takuma comforts her and eventually she decides to join him, but she keeps getting too nervous when she becomes fully submerged in the water. Takuma tries to teach her but he ends up getting a cramp and almost drowning, and Shiori is able to get over her fear to help him. Afterwards, she and Chinatsu go to the hot springs together, and they talk about how they've enjoyed the trip so far, although Shiori feels embarrassed about her lack of swimming skill. The group later eat dinner together where Shiori has too many drinks and becomes affectionate. Takuma is both shocked and embarrassed by her forward behavior, while Chinatsu and Chihiro watch them amused. Takuma decides to try to take care of his mentor, but panics when his two coworkers take this chance to disappear. Things take an embarrassing turn when Shiori offers to brush his teeth, and the two of them turn off the lights to share a futon together. Soon Takuma hears their coworkers returning, and since he doesn't want to get caught in a compromising position, he decides to hide the two of them in a closet nearby. He gets worried when he accidentally sneezes, and Shiori ends up waking up from her daze to hug him tightly. Chinatsu becomes suspicious of the closet, but luckily, Chihiro starts talking about a ghost story he heard about the tavern. Since the blonde-haired girl is deathly scared of ghosts, she decides not to open the closet, but Shiori overhears her and tries to escape the closet. So Takuma puts a cloth sheet on Shiori so that she ends up scaring their coworkers away. Afterwards, Shiori has fallen asleep so he puts his mentor to bed. But unfortunately for him, this is the exact moment his coworkers come back. Unfortunately, when they all go back to work, Takuma and Shiori get stuck in another hiding situation when they try to avoid some kissing coworkers in a storeroom. The situation started when Chihiro asked them to go find supplies for the company mascot Meowtaro's 30th anniversary. But while they are searching the storeroom together, they end up running into two fellow coworkers who are using the storeroom as a place to meet romantically. An embarrassed Shiori and Takuma try to escape the situation, but quickly become cornered by their coworkers. They end up hiding in a small storage locker instead. Unfortunately, their coworkers take a long time with each other, keeping the two of them trapped for a long time. The close quarters increasingly make them embarrassed, so Takuma comes up with a plan to lure them away. Unfortunately, he left his phone on his desk and Shiori's phone is in her back pocket. After he retrieves the phone, Takuma calls for an emergency for their coworkers, which gives them the opportunity to escape. They promise not to talk about what happened, but Chihiro immediately becomes suspicious, and both of them are unable to sleep that night. The next morning, Chihiro notices they are acting awkwardly with each other and determines something happened between his subordinates. Later, he reports this to Yudaka, who ambushes her younger brother again. Yudaka tells him that she can smell his small mentor's scent on his soup and determines they must have been stuck in a locker together. Takuma quickly retreats to work, but is unable to do well because of his anxiety. Meanwhile, Shiori tries to act normal by putting on a brave face, but she too is embarrassed. Takuma then asks her to dinner after work so they can clear up the misunderstanding, but Shiori becomes increasingly worried during the day because she thinks that Takuma might be confessing to her. After she imagines the scenario, she gets told that her coworkers who were hooking up were reassigned away from each other because office romances are forbidden at their company. Shiori worries about a similar situation with her and Takuma, and she starts to imagine how they would look if the two of them were a couple. But the office gossip becomes interrupted when their amorous coworkers arrive, and Shiori can tell they are way too obvious with their office romance. That night, Shiori heads to the meeting place on the roof to meet Takuma. She tries to pass off their meeting casually, and her happy greetings end up stopping Takuma from talking about the romantic undertones of their relationship, and he changes the subject instead. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.